The Jason Bourne shaky cam rules.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of From This Point Forward, a Buffalo Sabres comedy podcast. Here with Chris Plumer and Sebastian from The Little Mermaid. Ryan Mira is joining us from Florida. That's the type of commitment he has to the podcast. So much to talk about. Olympics done, real hockey back. Let's go.
Let's acknowledge the fact that in one of your favorite movies of all time, you thought the slogan was "Ducks quack forever" instead of "Ducks fly together."
No, it's you also think they live in wells. It's the whole theme of the movie, Lou. But he had the duck call.
They go quack.
It would be Malcolm Subban, mostly because that one season where instead of letting him play for the Sabres for the last game of the year, they had him sing the national anthem. And it was a real, like, you're under contract, the season is over. We know you've only gotten to be up here a couple of times. How about you come back up here? Oh, great, I'll put my pads in the car. No. You won't need them. Just make sure you warm up the pipes when you're driving down the 90.
Mitch Marner.
You heard it, Mitch. If you want to sign here, you can drill Ryan's mom.
Well, I think I got it going here. We're on the X. Sorry, we're having problems here streaming in the X, but I think we're good to go now. Whoa, dudes! A lot going on here as we get back into Sabre season. I think we need to at least acknowledge the Olympics in general. I want to talk about that. Were so great. I was up at 6:00 in the morning every morning. I was watching Slovakia versus Latvia. I mean, I'm watching the game. I was just into it. I think, I know that there's been a lot of discourse about what's better, this or, going back to the amateurs. I just thought this was a great tournament. It was a lot of fun. And I really enjoyed watching it. Yesterday felt like the biggest day, or was it yesterday? What's today? Monday. Yesterday felt like the biggest game maybe in hockey history. I don't even know if I'm really being too crazy there, but as excited I was for the win, as cool as the environment is, I'm feeling a little bit differently today. I don't want to get I want to be a snowflake. I don't want to have people coming at me, but I feel very conflicted on how I'm feeling about this team today. But I'll keep it short and let you guys talk about it. I really love the tournament. Chris?
Congratulations. They won the medal. We knew about this team beforehand. It's part of why I hate the Tkachuk brothers, outside of how I don't like the way that they play the game. They're also despicable human beings off of the ice. I see the watchers going down drastically as I say this, and I don't give a shit, okay? We spent a lot of money for the FBI director to go and chug beers with them, and the Dow is below 50,000 right now. He should be arresting criminals. The team should be arrested for keeping him from doing his job. Congratulations on the gold medal.
Yeah, maybe it's just being away on vacation and being in the sun and getting, charred in the sun and a little crispy here. I'm just like I'm kind of just enjoying the ride.
How is
The
Mar-a-Lago, Ryan?
yeah, it's not. Yeah, this is the state sponsored media coming right here. I No, it's what I was actually most impressed by, and it's not really anything about like the team itself, but hockey down in Florida is way bigger than I thought it was. Like I gained a lot of respect for, the Stanley Cup being in Florida, right? Like you think about that and it's like, that kind of sucks. You want the hockey purists to get the Stanley Cup, but man, there's a lot of hockey fans down here. I mean, I went to a bar in I think it's called Palmetto, Florida, and it was packed. Like right at 8 a.m. they opened. They had, they were serving and they had breakfast sandwiches and everything. And man, that place was packed. So yeah, it was just fun to be out like watching a game. And yeah, thoughts about the country and political, stuff aside, I just, I really like that it's, when you think about the tradition of the Olympics, right? It's like everyone coming together from different countries. And I mean, it's historically happened during a lot of like political turmoil. There's always a political element to it, right? You can't avoid the Olympics without there being a political element to it. But I just kind of like appreciate all of it. Now, some of the stuff that happened afterwards, I share your guys' thoughts on that. I'm not like celebrating those things. Let me make myself clear. But I just like that the result was amazing. That was one of the most entertaining hockey games, and I don't want to take away from that either. It's like at the end of the day, like I just want to revel in the fact that that was such a completely, captivating game. Like, very rarely, I know it's 2-1 hockey game, and like, people that don't watch a lot of hockey might look at the score and scoff, but there was not a single second of that game that didn't just have you gripped. It was just, the second period that Canada just completely taking it to the US, and really for most of the game they did. The shots showed that, but Hellebuck standing on his head when Bennington did that in the World Cup of Hockey or the Four Nations tournament, whatever it is. Yeah, it was just really fun to watch. So I'm glad they got the result. Sure, Canada was probably the better team, right? That's McKinnon's statement. I think he looks like a sore loser coming out and saying, who do you think the better team was? Come on, man, you gotta have some grace and know to keep your mouth shut there.
My favorite thing that came
There was
from
a little more
everything.
context in that quote. I don't have it in front of me right now, but there was a little bit more of like, they won, we lost, tell me who is the better team. It wasn't just straight up, we're better than them, if I can defend Canada a little bit.
My favorite thing that came from the whole day, the whole game, the whole aftermath was McKinnon looking at the stuffed animal. That kid is so, dude, he looked at the stuffed animal and looks at the guy and goes, like, he was so mad that he was getting handed a stuffed animal after that. That is the most. Can we just talk about how that is? You have
no,
to sit
I love it. Come on.
It is the most embarrassing. Forget even the stuffed animals. Just having to sit there for knowing that you just lost, like we said, the most important game in hockey, for name how many years, and you lose that game and you have to sit around full uniform for like an hour just to sit there and get second place. They should let them go back for a little bit, come out in sweatpants like they deserve. That is, and then you're gonna hand them. Then you're gonna hand them stuffed animals, dude. I was losing my shit. That's so great. What could be worse? What would be even funnier than stuffed animals? Because I don't know if there is an answer.
You have to put the gold medal on the winning team after you lose.
God, just let it. That would be funny. Reinhardt would obviously pick Jack, right? That's one thing I want to talk about before we move on to like Sabres talk and stuff. And this is like, again, I don't know if I want to call him my favorite person right now or anything, but like I fully expect Jack and Tage to get honored together in the Sabres' first home game back against the Knights. So they will both get called out to center ice before the game. I can't imagine anybody not like booing him or anything, because Tage is going to be with it, So like, there's going to be a loud cheer. It might be the loudest Jack has ever heard in that building. And I wonder if he doesn't take the opportunity to commend the fans on that after the game, and then everyone's happy, and we could lose this. We got to boo Jack every time he's here.
I'm booing him. And you know who else is going to boo him? Rasmus Dahlin, when he has to hand him a stuffed animal at center ice for winning the gold medal.
It's a ceremonial Build-A-Bear moment at center ice.
That's great.
Yeah, listen, first of all, it is cool too that Tage is going to be in New Jersey getting honored with Jack Hughes on Wednesday. That was the first I looked at that. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat.
But will he be there? I know he's not playing. He's not playing, I don't think.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if he'll be there yet, but the reports are neither of them are probably playing.
They'll be in the press box then. Like, they'll probably,
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, but maybe this again just is me being on vacation and just generally like getting some vitamin D more than I usually do this time of year. But like, I'm kind of ready to move on with the Jack Eichel stuff too. Like, I really still feel like the Sabres botched that situation. The more that you think about it too, like, I get that he had his faults and his flaws too, but I mean, Eichel's doctors were right in the end. I mean, that was the right move and we were wrong. So if that's really what killed the relationship, then so be it. But yeah, I'm ready to cheer for it. It was such a great moment. I mean, watching mostly just like the latter part of the games. I didn't watch some of the preliminary games, but obviously once the medal round started, I mean, I was locked in, and it was so cool to see.
Tage was tied for the lead in goals until Hughes scores there in overtime. He ended up being the leading goal scorer. Tage does a couple things about, and I know I said we were going to move on, but there were a couple interesting things about the Sabres. The two Sabres that played in these Olympics. One, Tage on the power play played front net, which is if you had to pick a spot for this team, that would be the last spot he would play. I understand when you have all that talent, you got to kind of put him somewhere. I would have probably put him his regular spot, high slot, in maybe on the power play too. Obviously, it worked out. He scored 2 power play goals and did well, but it was weird seeing him in that position. And then it was crazy to see him play so little 5-on-5. The guy has more 5-on-5. His power play numbers aren't great, obviously. Our power play struggling. The guy has more 5-on-5 goals in the last 3 years than anybody outside of McKinnon, I think. So pretty crazy to see how little they used him. Brian?
I was not surprised though. I didn't think he had a very good gold medal game. Honestly, like he kind of looked a little bit ineffective and maybe a little slow. I don't know if it was just fatigue or something, but yeah, I felt like he didn't have his top game that day, and maybe it was just the whole line didn't really seem to have their stuff, or the fact that the competition is just really, really good too. But they didn't seem to me to be like the most effective line out there. So I guess I wasn't all too surprised when he didn't have the opportunity in overtime even. And then I found it, was it Sullivan, the coach, made the comment about, Hughes. He's like, that kid's going to score for us. And then he ended up predicting that. And he's the one that scores in overtime, just like the way he'd been playing. I don't know if you guys saw that. What was it? Mike Sullivan. He predicted that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that. And that, that's pretty, Hughes played really good. I mean, he was not great in the preliminary rounds. And then they moved him up. They had him on the 4th line. They moved him up and started playing with was it Matthews line. And then, he really kind of kicked it in gear. Tage in this last game may have not been 100% healthy. He came out the game before with the injury. I don't know if that was on purpose or, just a little bit of both injury and a little bit of game plan that they limited his time. Chris?
I mean, with the amount of time that they played him in the gold medal game, it seems like it wasn't to save him for that gold medal game. He definitely looked, I mean, I watched the first 2 periods with you. at new home of the podcast, Mr. Goodbar, since 40 Thieves sold us out. But like there was a few times where he was on the ice and we were even kind of talking about it, where it was just like he was not moving normal, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it just he looked labored out there the times that you did see him out there.
It is a thing too, is just like everybody is just so fast on the ice. It's just like, does he look like one of the slow guys around, the McDavids and maybe that's a little bit of it. I don't know. But it did look like, and I think the announcers even like made notion of this. So like, I'm not groundbreaking here, but like that game just looked so fast. I mean, I know it was 2-1, but it was insane back and forth. And just everybody on those teams, even the Chucks were laboring their big bodies down the ice pretty quickly.
And I know we got to move on, but I just want one more comment. I wish we could get a chance to watch Quinn Hughes more, because man, is he a joy to watch out there. And obviously in the Western Conference, like we're not going to get a ton of chances to get to see now even Minnesota play, but like, man, the first thing I thought of when I was watching was like, now I wonder what Yarmo's offer was for him, because I really would have been interested to see what Quinn Hughes would be like in a Sabres jersey. So yeah, that's a pipe dream. Not going to happen now, but man, he was fun to watch.
He was. Last thing on the Olympics and Sabres in the Olympics is, do you see the thing that came out today with Dahlin? They did clarify whether or not he was healthy or not, and why he wasn't in overtime. He's like, I was ready to go. So, questionable coaching. I'm fine with it. Obviously, USA gets the win in that game because of it, but like it scared us, right, as Sabres fans. Like, why is this guy not out there in the biggest game? And it wasn't 2 minutes. I mean, right? It was a good 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, it was probably 10 shifts that they chose not to put him out there. It's pretty crazy there.
Especially with how he was playing the whole tournament. Like, even if he wasn't up on the score sheet, he was noticeable out there on a pretty good Swedish defense core.
Yeah. Anything to add there, Ray?
No, just Jake Gensel being on the Team USA was
Exodus the whole time.
Guy, I couldn't get over how every time it was like Peyton Krebs coming back, and I just so bad.
You were texting us, Plumer and I were watching it together, and I kind of, I mean, I know a little bit's your bit, a little bit, but I kind of agree. I've always kind of felt that way with him. I always kind of thought he was a product of Crosby, and then he goes to Tampa Bay and still really good, but also, playing with Point and Kucherov and like whatever. I think he's one of those guys that's, I think he's just, I think he's one of those big, slow guys around and scores goals around the net. And I don't know.
He's Matt Molson 2.0. That's what he is.
He really, but maybe times 10. I think Matt Molson was pretty rough. All right, let's go before we start talking about the rest of the year here with Sabres and some trade deadline stuff. Let's look back at our rankings preseason. And I listened to the episode today to try to, get these rankings down. And man, can I tell you two things. One, I was right about a lot. Two, Ryan was wrong about a lot. And I will do those two things.
Give me specific examples. Let's not speak in generalities. Let's do this.
Clear. You were against. You wanted to put Sabres way less. You thought Montreal should have been way behind, even though we put them 20th altogether. We came to that. And you guys, let's talk about the biggest thing here. We'll get to all 32, but the biggest thing is here. I pushed the Oilers. I started pushing the Oilers. I told you this at number 20. I said, I think this is where I should start pushing them. I know you guys won't let me. We'll start talking about it when we get in the top 16. You guys push them all to number 1 as the bit. Where are they right now? 20th place. But that was our number 1.
They're number 1 in our hearts, though, Lou.
Our number 1 in our hearts. I think.
You ever hear about 20th place being exactly where you want to be at this point of the year? All right. Why don't you learn some puck, buddy?
It's like the two goal leads the in hockey. You know what? Top 19, you don't want to be there. You want to be right in 20th, ready to make a move up. All right.
Listen, they've tried. They've tried being the top team, and it's not worked for them. All right. They need to come in at 20th and go from the other way. That's what they're going to do.
I'm gonna start from the back and do our rankings compared to where they are now, and then we're all gonna kind of pick one or two where we think we were right, wrong, or things that might change here. So our rankings were somehow we ended up on Kraken. I know I did that during that podcast too. I was doing the Kraken thing, and Chris called me out of it. Somehow we ended up 32 there. I thought that they were going to be pretty bad. They're tied for 15th right now. A little weird. Sharks.
Okay. Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Because you have the Kraken tied for 15th, and you are saying that the Oilers are 20th. When currently in the standings in the Pacific, the Oilers are in second place with 64 points, and the Kraken are in third with 63.
I'm going by win percentage. Which is what you should be
I'm
doing.
sorry. I forgot about your friend on the radio who talks about win percentage as being more important to the rankings that they don't use.
I'm just saying that's literally how you do it. That's how you decide where.
That's not how the league does it.
It does. It is. It just when you consider games in hand and when you get like win percentage, the wins is the big tiebreaker. Just shut up and let me. That's how I'm. But thank you for calling that out because I did not say that. So I will say that that's how I'm ranking these.
Okay, we've got a lot of problems then. Go through the list.
All right, Sharks. We called 31st. They're currently in 24th. Preds, we had at 30th. They're currently 25th. So two good hits there. We knew that they were going to be bad. They both have been bad. Flyers, 29th. They are currently 21st. This is where I messed up. This was my push. I know I remember pushing this pretty hard. I wanted to push them, I think, maybe as close to 32. I thought the Penguins were going to be one of the worst teams in the league this year. They have you still look at that roster. Sydney's old. Melkin didn't play most of the year and then came back, recently, maybe 15, 20 games. He's played fine. He's not scoring. That team is just like, I don't understand how they're doing well, but they are currently 7th. Blackhawks, the only one I think we nailed specifically, 27th and 27. This one I know I pushed really hard. This was another one I may have pushed hard for 32. Bruins. We ended up letting me put them in 26. Another roster where I'm like, how the fuck is this team winning? They're in 10th place, win percentage. I just don't understand. Like it's
the team that has done it for 20 consecutive years. Like, how did they do it again? How
and that
do
was
they
your
keep
point.
Doing it?
That was your point. And Chris and I were talking about this on at the bar the other day. Is like that is it. You're right.
That's it.
Like that gives you some form of like. I don't give coaching and system enough credit, I don't think, sometimes in hockey. And that is one of those examples, to your point. It doesn't matter. The names on the back, they just keep on winning. So, I won't be as quick to turn them down. I will bet against them in every playoff series, though. But next one, Isles, we had 25th. I did make this point, and it wasn't me who pushed it. I think it was one of you guys pushed it. They're sitting in 12th. I don't think I would have had them that high, but the one thing I said that was scary about putting them so behind is Sorokin could just be great, and that's exactly what he's been. Like he is just, and they win a lot of 2-1, 3-1 games, and that's how they're where they're at. Flames 24th. We have tied for 20. They're currently tied for 28th, so nailed that. We even, and this next one, 23rd, we even referenced the Gaudreau like momentum from last year. I mean, I think I even called it momentum and said that that's what they were living off of last year, and then they failed. Blue Jackets 14th in the league right now, playing good hockey. You mentioned it, Ryan, during that show, like Fantilli, Werenski's playing lights out. He's probably I don't know. I know the last time I checked, he was the favorite for the Norris. I'm not sure if he still is, but and decent goaltending with Jet Greaves now. So 14th, 22nd, Ducks, they're tied for 15th. Ducks quack together. So they're doing better. Canucks, we had a 21st. I don't know how we did that. I don't know. That seems like we just, because that roster looked the way it's playing. They're in 32nd right now. But even looking at the roster, thinking about where I was at with them, I was like, I don't know how we got so far. I think that was just kind of one of those things where we just forgot about them.
We forgot they existed.
Yep. We forgot they existed, and we ended up 21st. They are clearly 32nd. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. These next 3 teams, I think 4 teams, honestly, I remember and listening today, we kind of like had them in the same tier and really didn't know where to put them. And there was a lot of like youth, but they hadn't won before. But Montreal, we had 20th. They're currently in 6th. We settled on the Sabres at 19th, currently in 9th. Red Wings at 18th. They're currently in 8th. And then the Wild at 17, currently in 5th. Those 4 teams are honestly the 3 in the Eastern Conference, like Sabres, Red Wings, and Montreal. Like, that could happen. I don't like the Lightning that much. I know we're going to talk about them here briefly, but like, I think all 3 of those teams are really good hockey teams, and that's fun. And the Wild, obviously we didn't know about Quinn Hughes at that time, but they've been playing really good hockey. They're in 5th. We went Rangers at 16. They're 30th. I don't know why we thought they might have made a resurgence there, but obviously that hasn't gone well. 15, we went Utah. They're 17, so that was good. 14 Sens, tied 18, good. 13 Caps, they're in 19th, decent. Somehow we ended up with the Blues in 12th. They are currently in 31st place. I don't know how we got there. Again, one of those teams that maybe we just forgot about for too long. We're like, oh, we got to get them up. But for some reason, we thought maybe it was Binnington's Four Nations play, but we ended up putting them in 12th. Tampa, 11th. They're currently 2nd. That's another team that just is like, Hedman's hurt for most of the year, and then this dude Radish that I've never heard of is now their power play bomber from the defense, and Hedman's back, and he can't even get on power play 1 because this guy's so good. It's just like these good teams, they just keep churning these players that I don't get it. Jersey, we had in 10th, crazy, 26th. Kings in 9th, and I pushed really hard for them to keep going up, and they're in 22nd right now, and that's shocking to me. But I still think that they're going to push up. Just like you guys want to say the Oilers coming from 20, I think the Kings still make the playoffs. They trade for Panarin. They obviously still think they're very into it. The Western Conference is a lot easier to get into the back end than the Eastern Conference, obviously. I still say that they find their way in. Jets, 8th. They're tied for 28th. Hellebuyck really has had a pretty rough year outside of what just happened the last few weeks. And I don't know really enough about what's going on up front for them, because they have Kyle Connor, Scheifele, like those guys haven't been hurt.
They had injury troubles like the first 2 months, and then when everybody came back, they had like just a losing streak because now they're getting everybody readjusted.
We had Toronto in 7th. They're tied for 18th. Could we have saw this? I feel like Toronto, out of all these teams that we kind of like missed on up front, I feel like Toronto was pretty obvious to see this maybe happening. I mean, I think Marner was a bigger piece than what was happening. They obviously weren't good, with Marner. They've kind of struggled, horrible defensively. They did have the goaltender injuries this year, so they've really had weak goaltending all year. But is this something we could have predicted, or you think this is really surprising?
No, I mean, I don't know. I suppose we could have predicted it, but I still like the team. I know they're talking about like tearing it down, and I think that would be a mistake. Personally, I know Nyes has not really stepped up as much as they probably wanted him to with Marner gone, and yeah, I think they probably underestimated how much of a loss he was going to be. But I'm Wool was had that personal leave of absence to start the year, so they didn't get goaltending. They're on the backside. I do think they probably have some issues defensively, but I don't know. I'm not going to bet against Toronto. I know that they're probably not going to make the playoffs, and they're sitting back this year. But I think going forward, I don't know if really we were too far off.
Sixth place, we were in the Hurricanes. They would have been my number 2. They are sitting in number 3, so that's we're pretty good on that. Vegas 5th, and they're currently in 11th. We had the Avs 4, obviously best team in the league right now. Dallas 3, currently 4th, and then I'm blaming you guys for these two. I was very hesitant with the Panthers because of the back and forth, the cup, and then all the injuries that they had. Barkov and Tkachuk, was known. I did not like that you guys pushed them up this much. They're second. We had them 2. They're currently in 23rd, and then the Oilers, probably just part of a bit by you guys to push them up to 1, as I wanted them in 20th place, but we were way off there in first. So, Chris, you look ready to roll, and you wanted me to get through. Name one place that you are going to switch or think you were wrong, right? Whatever.
I mean, since I didn't realize you used percentage for these rankings, and I just want to say, Vegas, even though they are a first place team, even though they are 11th according to win percentage, they have 14 overtime losses points. They have 14 loser points in their quest for mediocre Western Conference. They are not a top 11 team in the league. I have watched a lot of West Coast hockey this year, and Vegas is the go-to TNT team. And I have not watched them play a good game. I've watched mostly losses. They are not sustainable as a top half of the league team, I don't think. So that's one I want to bump even further back from how bad we messed up putting them in the top 5. And then the other way, I want to apologize to the Penguins, who I believe I called all old during that original show. And they're old, but they're good still. So I was wrong.
Well, that takes a big man to say that. So, speaking about big men,
Brian Russ.
Mira,
Well, I am refusing to admit that I was wrong about anything because I am not a big man. I do think I was wrong about Montreal. I think I referred to them. I was like, there's no way that Montreal is better than Sabres, because we'd been kind of just like hanging, slightly ahead of them in this rebuild, I felt like, for the last couple of years. But anyways, I was wrong about that. I think I did have some good points about Columbus. And I don't know, to me, the top of the list, I know Florida and Edmonton, and it's really hard to not just like even have those two teams be considered at the top given what happened last year in the finals. But like, I'm still defending that. Maybe this is just take lock, but I don't think it's fair to say that the Oilers. I still think the Oilers and the Panthers are top 10 teams in the league, and maybe that's crazy to say that. I know they're not playing like it right now, but you have to look deeper than that sometimes. You have to look
deeper
to the power of friendship and
wins
forget
and
about
losses.
all those friends that they made, that those strong friendships when they won the cup. So, well, actually, the Oilers didn't, and they're probably so crushed right now. I mean, look at the morale in that locker room. McDavid is absolutely going to request that he wants to go play with his gold medal winning buddy and Tage Thompson over in Buffalo. So welcome to Buffalo, Connor McDavid.
I got Draisaitl was a big listener of the pod, got all excited about my Germany my Germany hype before on our Olympic thing. He got excited and then got really disappointed when they fell out early. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it gets better that those two just played really tough hockey for 3 weeks and have to come back and, try to get the ship straight here. if I had to predict it, I think they still miss, but they're right on the cusp. And like we said, Western Conference is easier to get in than Eastern, so maybe they find a way. Panthers, I think, are dead. I was Canes Dallas all year. I mean, that's kind of what I said in the beginning of the show. That's kind of where I still am. I think those are the two best teams in hockey. And we'll see where that goes. But to like compare it to like the NFL and the NFL playoffs this year, I think this, and that's what's exciting about the Sabres right now, is like I think it's pretty parity filled, and I think anybody can win any of these series. Like I'll feel way more confident about like whoever the quote unquote 8 seed is beating the 1 seed, and like I think it's wild card 2 beating the best the best. I just think there's going to be a lot of quote unquote surprises, because I just don't think that there's a dominant team this year.
I agree.
Yeah. Just also to throw in real quick, on our 20 through 17 run with the Montreal Sabres, Red Wings, Wild thing, I feel like at the time, all of our opinions were kind of the same, though, of these are young teams that we've been waiting for them to turn the corner for so long, and they hadn't, that we were hesitant to put them any further ahead.
I mean, specifically the Sabres, I know how hesitant we all were to like, do this and see this. And, if we would have done this a month into the season, they would have been 32nd. I mean, that's how.
To me, though, it feels like there's one team in that group that it's least likely to sustain this success, and that's the Red Wings to me. I feel like they're the least. I don't believe that they're actually in that group of those other teams where I think Montreal, Buffalo, and Minnesota, now we've established ourselves as part of that group of being legit contenders, at least for winning a round or two. That's all, we'll say that. That's about as good as you can ask for right now.
Yeah, I like those top 6 in Detroit. Like DeBrincat, I think, is a really, really good player. Larkin showed he wasn't, I feel like he didn't look like one of the elite guys when playing against the other elite guys here in the Olympics. But I mean, still very good.
He's got a very punchable face, doesn't he? His facial hair that almost looks like it's like sketched in with a pencil.
I forget about everything we mentioned earlier about the political, like even just take all that off. The USA team, pretty much all of them are
very
like
punchable faces. Yeah,
very punchable faces. They really are. They look like tool bags. Almost all of them. I mean, Tage, maybe not so much. Tage is our baby. We can't, whatever. But
punchable face.
So many of them just are so ugly. I mean, Brady Tkachuk looks like the dude from Goonies. I mean, they are rough, man, but whatever. I don't mean to
that would be an absolutely elite level of self-awareness to go as Chunk from the Goonies if you're Brady Tkachuk. Like how he could instantly like win any contest. Like he would just be so good. Or no, it's not Chunk. Chunk is the truffle shuffle guy. Who's the whatever the monster
Sloth.
guy. Yeah, Sloth. Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
All right, so we talked about that stuff. Let's before we get into the last stretch here, the deadline's coming up in 2 weeks. Lots of options there. I personally think I'm back and forth on this, because part of me is like, is Jarmo, how collected is he as a human being? Because I feel like you took over this team that like really went on the stretch after, the move. He hasn't been part of that at all. I mean, he hasn't made a move to on this current roster. Does he just like want to put his stamp on this a little bit and try too hard at the deadline? I'm going to say no. My prediction is that they just add a piece or two on the blue line. A couple depth defensemen, maybe one guy that's you'd consider more than depth, but that's my take of what we'll see in the next couple of weeks. Chris,
I feel like he's been in the league long enough and smart enough to not want to rock the boat, just put his stamp on it. They need a defenseman that can play more than 12, that can play up to 16 minutes a night if needed. Not every game, but you get some penalty trouble or you get somebody who has to sit out a period. They need to make that move. And I think it's more going to be housekeeping for him, because it's going to be a cluttered forward room, assuming that Kulik's skating. He's not in team practices yet, but he seems like he's probably going to be back by end of year. Guys are coming back. Like, just clean things up for me. That's all I need out of him.
Yep. To me, I concur with what you guys are saying. I think he's just going to supplement the roster as far as, adding a depth piece here or there, when it becomes available. I do think that it's nice having a veteran GM in here. All jokes aside, I think we do have to give some more credit in revisionist history to Kevin Adams and some of these moves that he's made. Really, I mean, we joked about it, and man, I think that guy did get potentially a raw deal. But I will say, I don't think we were wrong about how he was viewed necessarily around the league as far as his reputation and the respect he was getting from other GMs. And now I'm happy that we have a guy in there that you are very confident, at least I am, it's not going to get raked over the coals in trades, and is also, like Chris said, not going to, sell the farm, so to speak. I know that phrase is overused, but sell the farm for a temporary fix, right? You look at what the Colts did. I know it's tough with the injury with Sauce Gardner in it, but I remember hating that move back then, because I was like, they're selling so much of their future on what might be, I know, a good chance, but everything fell apart, and Jones got injured, Sauce got hurt, and now it looks like a tough move. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be a piece or two probably on the blue line. I think you guys are right, and I'm excited for it, because you're right. It might just be a small tweak, but I'm comfortable with Norris coming back and these other pieces that are getting healthy. Maybe that's the group we need, and don't tinker too much.
The first Indianapolis Colts reference from this point forward. That's not even like, for me, like, I don't even feel like I'm really selling them short or him short here by saying that. And it just really it truly is a logjam up front, and I don't know if they're not good. I mean, these teams that we talk about, like the Oilers and even the Avs a little bit, that don't have third and fourth line guys, the Kings, all these teams are like, they would love to have some of our third line players on their third line, or third or fourth line players. Like, we are really deep for a good team. There's not too many good teams that you're like, oh, name your rental when it come in and step into the third line. I don't know what that rental guy is, but like, outside of Stamkos, like that type of guy, like, who's coming in and taking one of these guys' spots? And even Stamkos, I would kind of be like, well, who's he taking out? Like, I mean, I'm really Krebs. I mean, I mean, not for nothing, I don't think Krebs has a spot when everybody's healthy, as much as so. So there's that. I do think that the moves, defense, UPL seems healthy, so I think they'll want to see that maybe a game or two before the deadline, before feeling 100% comfortable in goal. But I think they'll feel comfortable there. I think this team's good enough to just really whatever. I will not feel like they can't win a series. There's not a team in the league where, I mean, maybe when you talk about the Canes, who looks like it possibly is our first round matchup the way it would be right now, but like, I wouldn't feel tough. I want them to have a little bit more toughness up front, but it's just like, those type of hockey trades don't happen this time of year. You're not going to trade I guess Jack Quinn's the one we always come back to for this, and maybe he is the guy you can do this with because of his age, but like, you're not trading a Jack Quinn or I'm trying to think of a better example, but just for like, name your 30-year-old physical forward. I just don't see that happening. I would like that. I would like to see one of those guys, one of those forwards that are on the smaller side, be transferred for a more physical aspect, but I don't know if that's, going to happen so easily. So we'll see that. I told you guys to try to prepare, to maybe like think about some of your favorite deadline deals of all time. Anything specifically come to mind for you? I'll start. Ryan, you got anything?
Sure. The first things that came to mind when I thought about trade deadline deals, Joe Juno was one of my favorite moves. I it absolutely did not do anything. I mean, I think maybe the guy had like one meaningful game as a Saber that year, but it was cool seeing Joe Juno in a Sabres jersey and a goat head jersey. That would be a great pull of a jersey to find like nowadays, like walking around KeyBank Center with one of those. Steve Bernier was another one. Obviously, you know,
That's fun.
he comes in and scores right away. It's like that's the one thing I remember about the. Wasn't his name too like the Big Bear or something
Big
too?
Bear, he scored
I mean,
2 goals.
where did
this
that
first
come
game.
from too? Who gave him that nickname? I mean, that had to be a joke. Like, I also just whatever. That's another episode. We can save that. I don't know. Usually, like the deadline has. I mean, I miss the days of like the TSN trade deadline day where you just like lock in, and this was like 2010. You know, 2010, 2013. Like that time frame was like just amazing. I loved the Cassian deal for Hodgson. That I mean, of course, I loved that deal. But
Yeah.
Cody Hodgson coming to Buffalo for Zach Cashin was another one. So yeah, those are three that stand out for me.
Chris?
I had to go back a little bit to try and remember some good trade deadlines, and I found a couple that I wound up enjoying for different reasons. March 10th, year 2000, the Sabres ship out Buffalo Sabres legend Michael Grosek. And who do they get back? Doug Gilmour, the most miserable Buffalo Sabre of all time. I have his Red Butter Knives jersey now. And favorite of mine during the 2000s, JP Dumont.
That is one of the
deal for Michael Grosek.
That was one of the all-time best Sabres trades.
And the other one, the year before, March 23rd, 99, hated Buffalo defenseman Michael Wilson, sent to Florida for Rhett Warner and a 5th-round pick that turned into goaltender Ryan Miller.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's great. I was such a we've probably talked about in this podcast how big of a Mike Wilson fan I was. I have his jersey. I made my father buy his jersey. The last year at the Odd, when they unveiled the new goat head jersey, they did like a party at the old Odd to unveil it, and then obviously they had them there to purchase right away, to try to. And I told my dad I wanted a Mike Wilson. I think I have the only Mike Wilson jersey in Buffalo, and not only do I have the only one in Buffalo, he wore 34 that last year in the Odd. He just came up from the minors, like maybe
Then he switched to 4.
And then he switched to 4. And so if anybody else has a Mike Wilson jersey, they definitely don't have 34. So
oh my gosh. Yeah.
like
if that guy had turned out to be even halfway decent, that might be worth some amount of positive money, but you're still it's worth negative dollars right now. I mean, it is, and you've had some good takes in your history, some bad takes in your history, but that is by far the worst take is ever getting your dad to buy you a Mike Wilson jersey. Oh my God.
Brutal. My favorite Mike Wilson story, one little known fact, when he ended up playing in Pittsburgh, and he was the one he gave never hit anybody once in Buffalo. It was a 6'6", I mean, a monster, never hit anybody. He gave LaFontaine his last concussion with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He caught him coming over the ice and gave LaFontaine his last one, ended his career. That's good. My favorite Mike Wilson story is that one time I heard Muckler talk about him when they Muckler talked about him like years later, and he talked about drafting him, and he goes, the scout said he played a really great game. It must have been the only one he ever played. like Muckler, like legit, like shit. I mean, the dude is like still in the league. Muckler just didn't give a fuck. You guys mentioned a lot of good ones. One that goes like unnoticed a lot because I believe that they didn't make the playoffs this year. Like, I don't even think that they were like, I think that was like the first year that they didn't make it, but whatever. They get Shatan from Edmonton for Craig Miller and Barry Moore, like two just, fourth line guys that were nothing, never turned into anything. He turns out to be one of my favorite players of all time. I'm going to use one because he turned out to be one of my favorite people in life. And that's 1981 when we get Rick Martin when we trade Rick Martin. I apologize. We traded Rick Martin. We get 1983 first round pick that turned out to be Tom Barrasso, and then a third round pick, Colin Chisholm. Martin never, I think he scored like 10 more goals in the league after that trade. Like he was done. So we get Barrasso.
So your favorite trade was shipping off a Sabres legend when his tires were all kicked.
Well, here's the reason why, because this trade tree is awesome. Are you ready for it? I have it. I tracked through. It still lives today, this trade tree, all the way from 1981. So we get Barrasso and this Colin Chisholm. Later, we trade Barrasso in a third for Doug Bodger and Darren Shannon. You're going to hear some great names here. Doug Bodger was one of my least favorite players when I was a young kid, and just like I already knew I didn't know the game well, but you knew early on just from your dumb uncles or whatever, you had to pick somebody to hate. You're Krebs, and
it wasn't Mike Wilson. How did this happen?
It was Doug Bodger, and I hated him. But okay, so we get that. So now Darren Shannon becomes part of the deal for Gord Donnelly, a 5th round pick that turned out to be Yuri Himalev and Dave McLean. Bodger we sell for a 1st rounder that turned out, this is great. We sell Bodger for a 1st, Vaclav Varada in the 4th. 4th was Mike Martone. Varada obviously becomes a great player for us for years. The 1st is great. We end up trading the 1st later on. That 1st round pick that we traded ended up being Danny Briere. Little known fact, but it obviously we didn't pick him. We traded that 1st that turned out to be Briere and Craig Muni on top of that in a deal for Grosek and Daryl Shannon, Darren's brother. Then we traded Yuri Himalev for Jean-Luc Grandpierre, a 2nd, which was Corey Sirich, and a 3rd, Max Afinogenov. Then Corey Sirich ended up being in a deal, obviously, that brought Chris Gratton and a 2nd rounder.
Darcy Regier was a damn genius.
Dude,
Give
genius.
that guy his credit.
Corey Sirich ended up in that deal. I think that Holzinger was in that deal, another bum. But yeah, it was so bad. And we bring back Chris Gratton in the 2nd rounder. That 2nd rounder turned out to be Derek Roy. Grosek, like Chris says, ends up going for Gilmore and JP Dumont. Varada for Sabres legend Jakob Klepis. And you're like, what, dude? Well, the next trade that we trade Jakob Klepis for Mike Rear. So thank you, Varada. We literally go from we went from Varada to the Black Varada. That was it just quickly. Gratton obviously goes for Briere, which was another trade at the deadline that we didn't mention. That was a year they missed the playoffs and just were like, Gratton, was a sell piece, and they say, "Hey, give me this kid," and he turned out to be great. We mentioned Roy was picked with one of those picks. We end up trading him for Steve Ott and Party. Ott and Miller obviously go in the deal for Halleck, Stewart, Carrier, 1st and a 3rd. Halleck in that 3rd go for Newvert and Klessa. A 2015 goes with others to get Kane, Kasdorf, and Bogosian. Then Newvert then for Chad Johnson in a 3. Kane goes for a 5th, O'Regan in a 4th. We ship that 1st and Gooley for Montour. And then Montour gets traded for a 4th that turned out to be I lost it there, but somebody else that's currently playing on the team. So the insane 46-year trade tree with that. Also going back to these trades, like through these trades and looking at this, never knew this. You guys know that like Ted Nolan was part of the Sabres organization as a player? He never played a game, but we traded him to the Penguins for cash, which is kind of racist. But I mean, that seems a little weird now looking back at it. That was not PC. But
it's crazy to think that they did Ted Nolan dirty one more time that we didn't know about. That is crazy.
So crazy. I legit did not. This is the first I ever knew about it. And I even double checked. I was like, this can't be that Ted Nolan. It was that Ted Nolan. Traded him for cash to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Played like 10 career games with the Penguins, but funny looking back at that. All right, as we wrap up here, 25 games in 51 days. Next podcast that we do, it will be after the deadline, so we'll know any new pieces and stuff. This is the whole league when we say 25 games in 51 days. Like, everyone's playing this condensed schedule now because the Olympics. To your point, Chris, like, I want to get in a couple defensemen here that can take some more minutes. What's your feeling here going into this last rush on where the Sabres are?
I mean, feeling cautiously optimistic. Let's just keep going, man. I mean, I know we really needed to get to this Olympic break. I was hoping we'd be a little more healthy on the other side, but it looks like UPL's coming back. Benson's not making the trip, but he's coming along. Norris is supposed to be coming back. Hopefully he can. That's a lot of games for.
Yeah,
I think 25 games over 25 years is a lot of games for Norris.
Yeah, can we
wish him well.
We need some load management like the NBA with Norris. He needs to play like once a week.
I think that's the key to success for this team is if you have these guys coming back. Hopefully Yarmo makes some smart moves coming into the deadline. Like I said, a little bit of housekeeping, so that you can try to get the most out of the guys that you have that have kind of set you in this position.
Yeah, well, I think Josh Norris is looking at like 25 games in 51 weeks is his usual, expectation. But we'll try to speed up that timeline a little bit. Look, I'm confident. I'm optimistic. At the same time, I looked at the playoff odds over this winter or the Olympic break, and it's 67%. So they're 2 out of 3 times they're making it, but 1 out of 3 times they're not making it. So you never know. You don't want to count the chickens before they roost, or whatever that saying is. I mean, it's too early to tell, but I do think that the litmus test and the eye test, it's certainly both been passed for me. I think as long as they come back and they continue to play the way that we've kind of come to expect them to play for the past like 2 months, they should be fine. So yeah, I'm saying let's go. I'm very excited to see what they add, and if they don't add too much, I still am pretty confident.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think they need to find a couple defensemen here that could eat up some minutes. They need to do some load management with Josh. Josh Norris is interesting. We don't have the time to get into it, but I'll just end it with this. Like, Yarmo doesn't have any connection to that trade. Like, he could be a surprise, I think. It just like, who's going to buy him with this injury history, and what you get back specifically, but he's shown to be great when he's healthy, and maybe someone wants to buy him like we bought him with Cousins. So I wouldn't be shocked there. That's all I'll say. But I think it stays small. I think it stays in the back end. I do think that they find a way. But man, to your point with the 67%, if that just starts creeping in these guys' heads at all, a 4 or 5 game losing streak, fuck me. The guys that have been here through this all, it will start creeping up.
Especially right out of the gate too, right? I mean, I'm hoping to see them string together, and they're on a road trip for the first 3 games, right? They're going, they're coming south actually this weekend. So, I hope they can just get off to the right start with these first 3.
Listen, Ryan's moved into Florida. They're coming south. They're coming down south where I live.
No, I'm going to be passing them. They're going to be in the air. I'm going to be driving somehow, crazy 20 hours. I'll be driving the other way though. I'm be coming north. So,
well, good luck in your travels back. Chris, we will see you in 2 weeks with our new look savers, maybe Joe Juno with a comeback. I'm Louis G for Chris Plumer and Ryan Mura. This is From This Point Forward. Have a great night.